What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to another brand new episode of the Hammer Drops podcast. I'm Laoch. I will be your host for the show. I know it's been a while, but just like every other person, I need a vacation. I need to get away from constantly being bombarded with news and updates and researching this, researching that. But there comes a point, and it's been eating away at me over the last few weeks, that it's like, okay, it's time to get back to it and time to get back to the podcast, because boy, are things just driving me nuts right now. So many things I'm looking into, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? You have Joe Biden and his son, Hunter. Hunter gets a sweet plea deal that just implodes on him. And then a day later, Trump gets indicted on more stuff. And then we have the testimony from one of Hunter's, I guess his best friend or whatever the hell you want to call it. And then the very next day, we have another Trump indictment by special counsel Smith, or whatever the fuck his name is. Folks, if you don't see what's going on, the DOJ, the FBI are all weaponized by the Biden administration to go after political foes or anybody or anything that stands in the way of the Biden and regime and narrative. It's right there. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what to tell you. And the funny thing is that I'm not a pro-Trump guy. I'm not a pro-fucking Biden. I hate Biden. I think he's the worst president ever. But they have to divert the attention somehow. So what better way than to divert it to Trump? Because Trump, no matter what you're throwing at this man, he's getting more and more and more support. It's ridiculous. And yet people have forgotten some of the things that Trump has done. We have warp speed with the vaccine and all this stuff. Yeah, maybe he may have been misled, but still, there's some accountability there that he needs to own up to, since he was pushing the vaccine. In some of my research just recently, I've learned that, and I'm still looking into it, so I'm not going to get fully into this subject. And once I have my information and I can provide documentation and of sources and stuff like that, I will. But I've heard through the grapevine about, and I've seen some stuff through the grapevine about Trump and some of his comments about the Second Amendment. Some of his, I've also heard that he's actually gotten campaign donations from Big Pharma. Now, Big Pharma, let's face it, folks, 50% of the lobbying in Washington is from Big Pharma. 2/3 of Congress and Senate have gotten huge money donations to their campaign from Big Pharma. Our Washington, D.C. is compromised because of Big Pharma. Let's just put it like that. Politicians, whatever. They're compromised. They're getting money from Big Pharma, whether you want to believe it or not. Open your eyes. I think moving forward with this, I'm not pro-Republican, conservative. I'm not Democrat. I'm not libertarian. I'm not a liberal. I'm none of that. I am anti, anything that goes against the Constitution, the constitutional republic. But then again, you got to kind of question that. Are we an actual constitutional republic still, or are we on the brink of losing all of it? Which we kind of are on the brink of losing all of it. See, with the indoctrination of our children going on in schools and stuff like that, they're not being taught history. They're not being taught half the shit that Gen Xers like myself were taught, or baby boomers, while we were in school. And there's a reason for that. Everybody, cancel culture, is what it is right now. And if you haven't seen it, and if you haven't looked into it to see what other countries have gone through, this cultural revolution like we are currently going through, or we have been going through for quite some time, then maybe your head's in the sand. But again, I'm going to say this one more time. Look at Mao Zedong from China. Look at the tactics he had used to bring and usher in communism into China. Same exact thing. Attack what is great. And so you don't care about it, what your country is built on. Now, let's look at Bud Light. Let's look at, Anheuser-Busch. Let's look at Target, stuff like that. These are all American companies that were great at one time. Now, how many of you can honestly sit back and after everything that's been going on, really give a shit about them? These are companies are foundations of our way of life, and now we don't care about them because, okay, you put a transgender dude on a can. Big whoop. I personally don't like Bud Light. I think it tastes like piss anyways. But, I mean, and I can see it. Now we're going to start canceling music and people and, stuff like that. You have Jason Aldean with his song, and people are all up in arms about that one song about try that in a small town, saying it's racist. Honestly, I've never heard one racist fucking thing out of there. And I hate country, and I listen to the song. Okay? Yeah, it showed videos of Antifa and Black Lives Matter and their riots and all that shit. What is that, racist? Or is that just, you're pissed off because it goes against your narrative? I guess it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. I'm guessing it just goes against what you truly want to believe. And that's why you're pissed off. How about the Tom McDonald stuff? He just put out a new song. I think he had like 4 million views on American flags in like a matter of 2 days. So, I mean, that tells me that people are starting to get sick and tired of what is actually happening, and which is good because people need to wake up and stop this cultural revolution. Stop. Because all you're doing is ushering in the communism, socialism, which is something we don't want here. Unless you've come from a country or if you've lived in socialism or communism, that's the only way you're going to truly understand what the fuck it is. How people like Bernie Sanders and how people can support a piece of crap socialist like that is beyond me. Elizabeth Warren, same thing. It just blows my mind, because these people would much rather have full control over you. And that's what government isn't supposed to be. That's what our Constitution has laid out for us, that it's supposed to be less government and it's we the people. And now it's more we the government and less of we the people, because people, they're not being taught that anymore. And here's the thing, when us Gen Xers are gone, and soon we will be, everything that you see and have now will be gone with it, because the kids today are not educated on what is right and what is important. I'm so glad that people just don't. Who am I kidding? I guess I'm glad I don't have kids. I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm glad I don't have kids. I'm glad that my kid, if I had kids going through this stuff and not learning, I'd be pulling them from the schools, because you're not teaching them, and I'm sorry, people say, well, it starts locally. It starts with your local government and stuff like this. Folks, we're fucked already. We've been fucked. Our politicians have played us like a flute, and we're still falling for it. See, because we're listening to mainstream media. We're watching Hollywood. I mean, look at Hollywood right now. They're on strike, so no new movies are coming, right? But you still have your mainstream media. And people that don't know and don't believe that the CIA run our mainstream media and Hollywood, folks, get your fucking head checked, man. Half the shit you see ain't true, and half the shit you hear isn't true. What they're telling you after the fact, some of the things they do tell you is true, or it's the things that they are going to do that people don't fucking pick up on. Like this whole new alien UFO thing. I bet you half of the people out there haven't picked up on it yet. Look up Project Bluebeam, okay? They are completely setting that narrative up right now. They're also setting up a narrative that there will be a lockdown come 2024, before the election. They're setting it up, and yet the people are walking around with their fucking heads in the cloud, or their head shoved so far up up their ass, it's not even funny. And yet, they're winning. They've divided us. And they're still dividing us. How many of you can sit there and say that you're not angry with somebody because of this or that, or because their political views may differ from yours, or they didn't get the fucking jab and you did? I can tell you right now, there's family that we haven't seen since this pandemic, and they've gotten their stupid fucking vaccine. And it's been proven with the vaccine, people are dying like a lot more because of it, having heart issues. I can sit here and preach this until I'm fucking blue in the face. And you know what? I will. And if it wakes up one person, then I'm doing my fucking job. But you, the listener, need to do your due diligence as well. Research, share, with episodes like this, share it with your friends, share it with your family, get it out there. I'm not the only show that is talking about this. And this is what they don't like, is when you have shows like this that aren't afraid to hit it on the head, so to speak. And that's why we get silenced. We get pushed down further, and even on the podcast platforms, we'll get pushed down further because of our voice. They don't want people like us. So they silence us. We get silenced on YouTube. We get silenced on Facebook. We get silenced on all social media platforms. And we're getting silenced on podcast platforms as well. That's why the only way for us to break that narrative, that monotony, is for you, the listener, to just click the share button. Click on the 5-star. Stuff like that. That's going to help podcasts like us, and just to be able to get out to more people. So that's what I need you, my listeners, to do. Share these episodes with everybody. Get the word out, because it's coming. That storm that Trump has said, and it's not Trump bringing the storm. The storm is essentially already here, but people are just getting whipped around, like not knowing what the fuck is going on. It's time to wake up. It's time to come out of that slumber and put your foot down and be like, what the fuck? Look at everything that's going on. Your chemtrails. They're heavily doing chemtrails right where I live. That's a proven fact that they're doing it, but there's some people who know those are contrails. I know the difference between contrails and chemtrails, folks. And chemtrails are happening. You have the Biden administration that wants to block out the sun. Come on. Your climate change is a fucking hoax. It's bullshit. Okay, they've been playing this bullshit saying that bad stuff was going to happen 30, 40 years ago, and it's never happened. The ice caps haven't melted. The sea levels haven't risen. None of it's happened. And yet, you're buying into it. This is what they need to do to usher in the Great Reset, and we're all falling for it. All those windmill farms that are like off the coast and all that stuff, they want to put some more up on the East Coast, like by New York and New Jersey, which is going to interfere with our military capabilities, with our radar. There's a reason for it, folks. There's a reason for why at our southern borders it's still open. You all think that Abbott out there is Mr. Perfect, that he's doing everything he can? You all know that he's part of the WEF, right? The World Economic Forum. It seems to me like he's playing and doing exactly what they want. You have fighting age single males coming into our country, Chinese, Russian, from Africa. Look at what's going on in fucking France with the African refugees, all of that shit. That's all coming here. And yet everybody's like, oh yeah, let them come in. I live in Illinois. Chicago's a shithole now. Okay. Well, it's been a shithole since the progressives have moved in. But now we have all these illegals coming in that they're taking up funding that should be going to like places like the South Side and stuff like that for those communities, and giving the money to the illegal immigrants, and now these illegal immigrants are protesting, saying that they want jobs and they want this and they want that because it's like they haven't gotten enough from us. They get free health care and all that shit. They're getting a roof over their head. Yeah, it might not be ideal, but maybe you shouldn't have come down here if you didn't think it through. Because let's face facts, folks. A lot of these people that are coming over aren't refugees. They just wanted to get out of Mexico. They just wanted to get out of South America, whatever. Let's call it as it is. Now, I want to say this. Big Pharma, and they... oh, boy, Big Pharma. They're about, I would say, over about 60, 70% of... Well, let's just say 50%. 50% of the lobbying that happens over there in D.C. is from Big Pharma. They've donated money to a lot of politicians, Republican and Democrat. Right, Mr. Speaker? I mean, you have received numerous donations from Big Pharma, and yet you're still the Speaker of the House. Kind of funny. There's... and I don't know if it's, and I've touched on this, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but, or if it's just, propaganda, which it could be, about Trump getting donations from Big Pharma as well. And that's why he's not, or he didn't do what he was saying that he was going to do. Yeah. So... There's so much to go over right now. My mind is like going 100 miles an hour right now. So I do apologize for a show back. I'm trying to, kind of do a whole recap of the last 3 months, but yeah, that's not going to happen. I can't touch base on all that much. But moving forward with the show, I'm going to try to get out a show at least, maybe 1 or 2 a week. I'm not going to go completely crazy. I have a life. I do this for free. I'm not getting paid for this. I have a full-time job. I'll get to it when I can, type of stuff. But you can count on one thing. I'm going to provide information, and I'm not going to care who it offends. So if you're a Democrat, it may offend you. If you're a Republican, it may offend you. Because let's face facts. Our politicians, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or independent, they don't give a shit about us, folks. They really don't. You got to wake up. I'm still stuck on this whole Illinois Governor Pritzker signing into law, allowing illegal immigrants, or migrants, whatever you want to call them, to be able to become police officers in the state of Illinois. How fucked up is that? An illegal migrant or immigrant upholding U.S. law here illegally arresting U.S. citizens. Wow. You can't make this stuff up. And this is not the only state that's happening in. Other Democrat-run states, that's happening in as well. Let's look at Michigan. The governor of Michigan has allowed the CCP to open up a factory in their state. And yet, no outrage. Nothing's happened. You got McCarthy, talking about impeachment, so they can get more information. And yet we have all of this proof about Biden, the bribery schemes, and how corrupt the Biden family is, and yet nothing. And I can kind of see that, why they're not impeaching him, because you have Kamala Harris that would take president then. And God save us all if she ever becomes president for any reason, because she will fucking literally will be destroyed really fast. At least Biden, surprisingly, nothing. We've had major stuff happen, but nothing like catastrophic. And if Kamala Harris goes in, guaranteed catastrophic will happen. But it's still early. We're not in 2024 yet. 2024. Once we get closer to the election, I'm going to go on the record right now on, August 3rd, 2023, and say that by this time next year, we'll be lucky to have an election where we can actually go and vote in person, to be honest with you. Something's going to happen that is going to prevent that. Now, could that be the narrative with the whole UFOs, Project Bluebeam? Again, folks, look up Project Bluebeam. I'm telling you, you're going to want to do that. So yeah. So there you have it. My welcome back show. So again, I'm going to try to do at least 1 or 2 shows a week. I'm not going to do the video yet. So this is just only going to be on podcast platforms. And yeah, we're going to kind of go from there. We're just going to, see what happens. But definitely do me a favor. Don't forget to like, share, comment on this episode on any of the platforms that you're listening to. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. I'm telling you, that's the only way these shows are going to, and this information is going to be able to get out to more and more people and hopefully wake up more and more people to the corruption of our government. Not just our government, but governments all around the world. So that's what I need you to do for me. And I'll leave you with this. A little history. Did you know that most of the leaders across the world, Canada, and other countries, are all in one way or another related to the crown of England? Bet you didn't know that. Now you do. All right, folks. Till the next time, y'all be good to one another and keep being free, keep being a fucking patriot, and keep fighting for your rights.